Over 300 riders dared to bear, and even more came out to see Montana's first naked bike ride Sunday. The National Weather Service says we can expect flooding to affect lowland areas like fishing and public access points. He hit the mountain at almost 50 miles an hour, leaving him paralyzed from the chest down with limited use of his arms. But Sheriff Hoffman says that the large trees in the area make it difficult for the helicopter to see the ground, so they bring the dogs in to check the areas the helicopter may have missed, and features various activities like digging for potatoes. But not until 14 feet would there be a real big problem in which there'd be a major flood warning for the residents of Missoula. The invasive mussels can sneak into very small parts of the boat that might be difficult for humans to see. Species like zebra and quagga mussels can cling onto boats and ruin water supplies, and an axe throwing competition. He says the program gives people the opportunity to receive essential resources all in one place.
We have everything from getting people a haircut to getting their coat sewed up to getting a new coat. Actually, it's kind of one-stop shopping.
Volunteers even wore makeup to make the experience more realistic for responders. Tia O'Neill was one of those volunteers.
If you have people that can go volunteer for that sort of thing, it's all the better. They need to have real-life training. It's just one thing to read it out of a book.
The University of Montana Woodsman team hosted the 18th Annual Forestry Days and College Competition Pro-Am. Schools from Montana, Idaho, and Oregon took part in the Pro-Am, which is the only one of its kind. While 64 competitors stood on their paddle boards,
here we go, guys.
2 were brave enough to do it sitting down. Mike Donahue and Joe Stone are the first 2 disabled paddleboarders to finish the Sup Cup, Montana's first paddleboard race. Frenchtown rural firefighter Jake Richards has been with the department for 2 years. He says the training that goes into vehicle extraction is very extensive and that the biggest challenge is adapting to the vast variety of vehicles on the road today.
This just gives us a better understanding and opportunity to see what kind of vehicles are out there and the challenges that are faced with those vehicles.
Teams had 15 minutes to remove the roof and doors and lift the dashboard at least 4 inches to simulate a victim's legs being trapped underneath. Firefighter and EMT Mel Holtz says this training is vital for young firefighters because quick response can mean life or death for victims.
This hands-on training, nothing beats it. You know, you can sit and talk in a classroom, but getting out here today, working with the tools, working with these cars, basically cutting apart these cars, it's a great day.
Richard says getting this certification will go a long way towards his goal of being a full-time firefighter.
It's an awesome experience to get to come out and cut cars up and get these kind of certifications before trying to enter the workforce. It makes you a more competitive possible employee in the future.
Holtz says the department covers 33 miles of interstate and says having a good number of able responders is crucial. In Missoula, Don Fisher, MTN News. Stevensville resident George Bauman went missing on Tuesday. A friend told law enforcement they were cutting firewood in the Ambrose Saddle area and that Bauman wandered away on his own. On Wednesday, he was reported missing, and law enforcement started searching, and on Saturday, 5 dog teams were brought in from across the state. The Ravalli County Sheriff's Office has already utilized a helicopter in the search for Bauman, but Sheriff Hoffman says that the large trees in the area make it difficult for the helicopter to see the ground, so they bring the dogs in to check the areas the helicopter may have missed.
These teams are people that are known to us. They're known around the state. They have a high success rate. If a person is actually in an area that they're searching, I'm confident that they'll find them. You know, our goal again is to find George Bauman, and that's why we've brought in these outside resources.
The 5 dog teams started with a half-mile perimeter search and then expanded the region to a full mile. Hoffman says teams will exceed that area throughout the search at certain points. However, no traces of Bauman have been discovered yet, but Hoffman remains confident in the team's search effort.
We're going to search this area until we're satisfied that he's not here. That's a given. And if at any time somebody says, well, hey, this is a resource you haven't thought of or you haven't brought in, we will bring it in.
Bauman is described as a Caucasian male who is 6 foot 4 inches tall and weighs about 195 pounds. He has blonde hair and blue eyes. We are told that he has also had some health problems. In Stevensville, Don Fisher, MTN News. Polson resident and combat veteran Thomas Parker lost both his legs and suffered trauma to his left arm after stepping on a landmine while serving in Afghanistan. After a grueling rehabilitation that took over 2 years, Parker returned to Polson. Tommy says it was difficult for him to adjust to life in a wheelchair and found everyday tasks more difficult than ever.
You want to be in control of your own life and be able to do what you want when you want. And the other places I lived, I didn't have that option. I wasn't able to just go cook something if I was hungry.
Parker and his family reached out to Homes for Our Troops, a national nonprofit organization that has built 180 houses for wounded veterans. This would allow Tommy and his family to find a home of their own, mortgage-free. Parker says when they were selected it was life-changing, and that he's still amazed by the overwhelming support from the community.
I don't really know how to feel. It's kind of surreal because I've been up here a couple times throughout the build process and everything, and I knew that it was one day going to be mine, but it kind of clicked on my drive out here that, like, it's now mine. And I mean, it's a beautiful home, fully adapted it's just going to make my life a lot easier.
Homes for Our Troops has been in existence for over 10 years and built 32 houses for veterans in 2014. They say community outreach is crucial to the success of the program.
We could not thank people enough for how much support they've given to not only our organization but to the veterans, and that we really rely on local communities to help us get these homes built and get these veterans into homes, which is where they belong and it's what they deserve.
The Parker house is equipped with over 150 modifications to accommodate his wheelchair, with a roll-in shower and wider doorways. Parker says these adjustments will allow him to get back into a routine that was lost after his accident.
Just the ease of use of everything. I mean, the counters are lower so I can cook, and just everything's set up so somebody in a wheelchair can live a full and normal life.
In Polson, Don Fisher, MTN News. The original Naked Bike Ride was held in Spain in 2004. Since then, the ride has spread to hundreds of cities around the world and has now made its way to Missoula. Participants say their goal is to spread awareness and offer alternatives to using fossil fuels. Some Missoula residents were upset and angry about the nudity, many taking their complaints to the city. But when push came to shove on Sunday, the response was mostly positive from those present.
We had security teams and we had security riders, and we didn't have to use them. I didn't have to tell anybody you're over the line, you're lewd. We had a little discussion and everybody policed themselves really well and behaved really well.
Missoula police say they received several complaints throughout the day, but did not have to intervene in any way with the spectacle itself because riders weren't breaking the law and had proper permits from the city. The ride drew quite a crowd of spectators like Stephen and Judy Smith, who are visiting from Yuma, Arizona. They say they have never seen anything quite like it and weren't offended, but could definitely understand how some could find it to be too much.
I don't believe young children should be here. You know, that's, I think, wrong to bring them to stuff like this. It's adult entertainment.
Maddox says she was fired from her job and forced to move out of her home since she decided to put on the event, but says the sacrifice was worth it.
Unfortunately, it kind of comes down to two reactions. It's fear or it's love. And you tend to fear what you don't know. And to see the smiles on people's faces and all the love downtown, heck yeah. Yeah. It would all have been worth it.
Maddox says she hopes the event will continue annually, but is unsure of the impact today's ride had on the public. In Missoula, Don Fisher, MTN News. While 64 competitors stood on their paddleboards,
here we go, guys.
2 were brave enough to do it sitting down. Mike Donahue and Joe Stone are the first 2 disabled paddleboarders to finish the Sup Cup, Montana's first paddleboard race. Stone says the most satisfying part of his experience was making it over the rapids.
This was no big deal for us. You know, it's the first time it's ever been done, so it was a bit nerve-wracking going into it, but at the end of the day, this was nothing. We can do way bigger stuff in this, and so that's an amazing thing to get back when you think you've lost everything.
Stone nearly lost his life here at Mount Jumbo during a paragliding accident. He hit the mountain at almost 50 miles an hour, leaving him paralyzed from the chest down with limited use of his arms. Stone is a Missoula resident who started the Joe Stone Foundation in November. The foundation promotes outdoor recreation for people with disabilities. The boards used were supplied by Onnit Ability Boards, a company based out of San Diego. Fellow competitor Mike Donahue is also from California and works closely with Onnit and made a special trip up to Missoula to take part in the race.
Discovering this was pretty much a miracle. It got me back
back on the water and doing what I like to do. Yeah, sky's the limit, just a little bit shorter than I used to be.
Sup Cup coordinator Leslie Weatherby says she was very inspired when Stone and Donahue finished the race.
It was really cool watching them come out of the river and them come across that finish line, and the cheering was unbelievable. The crowd just went wild. It was such a cool thing. I mean, it's a hard race for someone who does not have a disability, and to watch them go, it was so impressive.
Stone says he hopes to see the day where moments like this are more mainstream.
In the end, I want to see it just be normal. I want to see people in wheelchairs cross the finish line and it's not some crazy thing. I want to just do another wheelchair athlete crossing the finish line.
In Missoula, Don Fisher, MTN News.